Hi guys, my first e-lesson ever.
Woo!
This is exciting stuff. So I hope you're doing well. We're gonna go through this and I'm gonna try to give you some pause time to write things down. So if you have your packet, this is your packet. If you don't, you might just wanna follow along or maybe even jot some things down if you can. So this is Graphing Inequalities, Unit Day 1. So this should be the thicker packet that we gave you. And our goal today is going to be to find the slope of a line. Go ahead and write that down. This should be review for you. We think about some things when we think about the word slope, and we have talked about that a lot this year. I think you probably would remember things like rise over run and the steepness of a line. I don't know if you remember, we watched that video about the rock climber, and so we talked about all 4 types of slope, and I think some of that will be coming back up for us this chapter. So, what do you remember about slope? So I just kind of gave you some hints there. Things that we have talked about before is rise over run. Some people also remember that a horizontal line has 0 slope. And then a vertical line is like that rock climber that we studied, and it was undefined. Remember how crazy he was? Undefined slope. So this is your 0 slope. This is your so steep you can't define it, undefined slope. And then you might remember if you get a 0 on the top, like if it's a 0 and then a number down here, we said that was okay and the slope is 0. And we said if you get a 0 on the bottom, and actually your calculators would say, what did that say? Error. And this would be an undefined slope. You cannot divide by 0. So if you're working out slope, which we did a lot of, remember if we had 2 ordered pairs like 1, 3, and let's say -2, 5. Remember we put the y on the top and the x on the bottom, and this y on the top and the x on the bottom. And so this would give me -2 over 3. And that would be my final slope as long as that is reduced as well. And that's one thing we could probably show towards the end of this video. The calculators that we use in here, they are approximately $10 to $15 at like a Walmart or a Target. I know some of you got really comfortable with those, so maybe if you could get one, or maybe we could even talk to some of our people here and see if it's possible to check any of those out. I don't know what the answer to that would be. Okay, so here's your 4 types of slope. So you have the blanks. You have blanks on your paper under these pictures. There's positive, 0, negative, and undefined. And then the quote-unquote formula for finding slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You just remember we talked about that being the change in our y's over our change in our x's. So again, I think you just need to fill in these 4 blanks. I don't think this is on your paper, so that's kind of up to you whether or not you want to write that down at this point. Okay, so the first thing that it's going to ask us to do is it's going to give us a line, and it's going to show 2 points on that line. And so they want us to just find the slope. And remember we used that cheesy rhyme, slope is easy, slope is fun, slope is always, do you remember? Rise over run. So we're always, when we have to count slope off of a graph, we're always going to start at the lower point. So we always go up first. So if I count and move my pencil, that is 2 counts up. My slope, remember, is always a fraction. So it should be up 2, so that's a positive 2. And then here's where we were making mistakes before. What direction am I moving now? So now I'm moving left. So left, and if you look look at this line, is supposed to be a negative slope. So we're moving left 3. So that goes on the bottom. Is that reduced? So again, if you have a calculator, you could plug that into that N over D button. If you do not, you would want to see, is there any number besides 1 that will go into 2 and 3? And that does not happen. So this is your answer to example 1. So again, start on the lower point, count up first. Then if you have to go right, it'll be positive. If you go left, it'll be negative. So let's look at our example 2 here. Okay, so you should be able to tell, hopefully, now this is going the other way. So ultimately, when we're finished, this should be a positive slope. I'm going to find the lower point, which is this one right here. I'm going to draw my fraction bar. Okay, I'm going up 1, 2, 3. So that's a positive 3, up 3, and then I'm going right 1, 2, 3. So right is a positive movement. Now, is there a problem with that answer? 3 over 3. If you're thinking, yes, there's a problem, you're right, because this needs to be reduced, okay? So what goes into 3 and 3? Or you could, some of you probably are just thinking 3 divided by 3 is 1, and that's fine. You can also think, okay, 3 goes into both of these, so we have a 1 over 1 slope. We kind of tend to prefer for slope to be written as a fraction, because a lot of times when you have to graph lines, which we're going to get back into that this chapter, it's going to need to be a fraction. So that is finding slope. All right, so what I'd like you to do is just take a minute and try examples 3 and 4. You flip your page. Remember, if you forgot, start at the lower point and count up first. So that's my hint on that one. Okay, so on example 3, we should have gone up 3. So that's positive 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right 6 is a positive 6. So if you got that far, you're doing good. I know we always in class, we do the thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. So if this was your final answer, you're kind of at a sideways, because this can be reduced. So think about the numbers. What's a number that goes into 3 and 6? And if you need to, maybe look up a multiplication chart online. I know a lot of you probably don't have that at home with you, but a 3 will go into both of these, and we're left with 1 over 2. Next one is a little bit trickier, because I keep telling you to start at the lower point. Well, what's tricky about that? They're the same. This is not lower than this, so hopefully just by looking at this and seeing that horizontal line, this would be 0 slope. Okay, next thing we're going to do is just review plotting points. So it does get a little tricky, because slope is your up and down movement first, your left and right movement second. But for ordered pairs, we go left or right first, and then up or down. So the x coordinate is going to tell you to move left if you see a negative number, or right if you see a positive number. And the y is going to be down for a negative number, and up for a positive number. Making sure you have time to fill in those blanks. It's hard to know if I'm going too fast, too slow. I guess the good thing is you can always rewind or fast forward me if you get sick of me. All right, so plot and label. Make sure you label the following points. So 0, 0, that just goes back to the origin, right? That's the point point right here in the middle. They want us to label it with a nice capital letter, capital A, so I'll do that. All right, so B, if you remember, we used some arrows. This first number, I can only go left or right. So the negative is telling me to go left. My second number, I can only go up or down. Positive is telling me to go up. So I go to my origin and I move left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a nice point and a nice capital letter. So since this is review, I want you to just take a minute and try to graph C, D, and E for me. Okay, so C, we have a positive number, so that should be right, and a positive 6 should have been up. So right 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is C. D, positive number first, tells me left or right, so that's right because it's positive, down for the negative 1. So right 3, down 1. And then E, both are negative, so that's telling me left and then down, so left 4 and down 2. And this is point E. I know we've plotted a lot of points, so I'm really hoping that you're at home thinking, okay, Ms. Peters, you're going really slow. I know how to do that. And if not, it's good that we kind of have the time to review, okay? So the last thing we're gonna do in this lesson today is we're gonna combine plotting a point and then counting slope. Let's give Jesus back.
Hey.
So it says, graph a line given the point, be really careful, point is x comma y, and then doing the slope, which is our up and down movement, and then our left and right movement. And we have some steps on here for you. So I think you have a few blanks to fill in. It says, remember to plot the ordered pair first. Ordered pair first, that's the x, y. Then we're gonna use the slope to count and get more points. And then we're gonna draw a line that connects those points. Miss Kimmage is having lunch back there.
I know, sorry guys.
Okay, so point first. So again, we just did the points. We're gonna go right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1. That's my point. Now, this is critical. When you're gonna use your slope, you do not go back to the origin. You go from this point. Because remember, slope is not a point. It gives us direction, but it's not a point. So it's up or down. So since it's positive 1, that's an up, and a positive 2 is to the right. So I'm gonna go up 1 to the right 2, up 1 to the right 2. Remember, if you're starting to go off your graph, you can do the exact opposite. Remember we said we hope you don't do that to your parents. So what's the exact opposite of up 1, right 2? It is down 1, left 2, and that will keep you right on that line. Okay, if you remember, we want, this is where it's finally super important. We kept harping on you, extend through the whole graph. So if you have a ruler, straight edge, something, and this might not be perfect because I'm on my smartboard, but you want to go through the whole graph and put arrows on the end because we know our lines are infinite. Any questions? If there are, email us. You can do that. Okay, so I might go just move a little faster through these last 4. I know I've probably been on here a while. So we'll graph the line, we'll do the point, and then the slope, okay? So I'm gonna do all my arrows first. So the point tells me to go left or right. So that's a left. A positive 3 is an up or down. That tells me up, okay? So left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 3. There's my point. Now don't move from there. Do your slope from here. So positive 3 on top is up or down. That's up because it's positive. The 4 on the bottom is right because it's positive. So from my point, up 3, to the right 4, up 3, to the right 4. Remember, you can do the exact opposite. Down 3, to the left 4, and you're going to connect, extend, and put arrows on both ends. Okay, the last two examples have one kind of little tricky part. So just stay with me for just these last two. Okay, if you notice, my point looks pretty normal. It's negative, so left or right, I know it's left. And then the second number is negative, up or down, I know it's down. So from the origin, I'm going left 2, down 1 to get my point. Now, look at the slope. See if you notice something funny looking about that. We say we always want slope to be written as a, hopefully you said fraction. So if you remember, if we have an integer or a whole number, you just put a number 1 underneath it. So my top number tells me to go up or down. So this is down because of the -3, and then the 1 is going to be positive to the right. Down 3, to the right 1. Down 3, to the right 1. I can also do the exact opposite. Up 3, to the left 1. Connect, extend, put arrows on the end. Last one. Then you don't have to hear me anymore for today. Again, the point's pretty normal. They're both positive. So that's a right 3 and an up 4. So I'm going to go to the right 3, up 4. That's my point. Now, this is tricky too. We said, if you remember when we did these before, if there's a negative in the front, we're just going to throw it only on the top. So we're going to call this slope -3/2. So again, up or down, it's down because it's negative. Left or right, it's right because it's positive. So we're going down 3, to the right 2. Down 3. And sometimes you guys have asked, okay, how many times do I need to do that? Just a couple. Sometimes if you want to make your line really straight, you can do it a few more times. Then you connect, extend, arrows on the end. Okay, hopefully that was pretty easy to follow. If you flip the page of your packet, you have Inequalities Day 1 homework. So we are going to make that due tomorrow by, we'll say, what time?
12 o'clock?
Or maybe by 10 a.m.
Okay.
By 10 a.m. So you could do it, my suggestion would be do it right now. Like, if you could do it right now, you're probably gonna do the best on it. It does have 16 problems, it looks like, no, sorry, 19 problems. So just go ahead and hopefully you take the time right now to work through that. All you have to do is take a picture of your work and just email that to myself or Ms. Kimmagees. I'll write these up here. They should pop up in your emails. That's mine. ZYS, right?
Yep.
Got it right. And we will take a look at all of them, and then we will post a key so that you can hopefully review that. At any point in time, if you feel like we need to slow down or we're kind of like struggling, we need to go, you're struggling a little bit, just feel free to shoot us an email. Just have really open communication. So hopefully it made sense. I know it was all review. We do miss you guys, and hopefully this will go okay. So we'll see you in a couple more days.
Yeah, so homework due tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Okay, have it emailed to us by 10 o'clock tomorrow if you can. That'd be the best. All right. See ya.
Bye.